How do 1940s patterns differ from 1950s patterns? When we look at vintage sewing patterns from the 1940s and 1950s, we can see some clear differences that tell us a lot about the fashion of each decade. These differences reflected not just style but also the historical context of the times. In the 1940s, fabric was limited due to wartime rationing. This meant that clothing was designed to use less fabric. You would often find shorter hemlines, narrower sleeves, and fewer embellishments. Common fabrics included rayon, cotton, and wool, while silk was hard to come by. To make garments more visually appealing without using extra fabric, designers got creative with trims and details. As we move into the 1950s, the end of rationing brought a shift in fabric use. This decade welcomed more luxurious materials and elaborate designs. Clothing became more extravagant, featuring fuller skirts and ornate details that were absent in the previous decade. The style and silhouette of the 1940s were quite different from those of the 1950s. The 1940s often showcased a more masculine silhouette with padded shoulders, nipped-in waists, and shorter hemlines. This was influenced by military styles and the need for practicality. Sleeves in this era were often set in with a puff or darted shoulder, and triangular shoulder pads were common. Bishop sleeves were also popular, especially in the early to mid-1940s. In contrast, the 1950s introduced the new look silhouette. This style featured a sloping shoulder line, fuller skirts, and a more feminine appearance. Popular sleeve styles included cut-on cap sleeves, raglan, and dolman styles, with puff sleeves often seen on sundresses and junior styles. The focus was on creating a defined waistline, enhancing the curvaceous figure. For collectors of vintage clothing and textiles, knowing these differences is essential for dating and authenticating patterns. When you are looking to purchase vintage patterns, pay attention to the characteristics of the designs. The fabric restrictions of the 1940s and the more elaborate styles of the 1950s can help you determine the era of a piece. In terms of value, original patterns from both decades can be highly sought after, especially if they are in good condition and come with complete instructions. The rarity and condition of the pattern, along with its historical significance, play a major role in its value in the collectibles market. Overall, the differences between 1940s and 1950s patterns reflected broader cultural and historical trends, making them fascinating pieces for anyone interested in vintage clothing and textiles.